Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog, and today we're talking about Blake Griffin. I didn't really talk about the buyout because I was kind of shocked that there even was a buyout for Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin ended up taking less money to leave the Detroit Pistons, and rumors are that he is now expected to sign with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I don't want to get too excited about this, or I don't want to be too negative about it either, but Blake Griffin has made it kind of hard for me to believe that he is anything like his former self at this point. Um, he does provide skill. That's one thing that the Nets are really lacking is size and at least something coming off the bench to help their bench unit. They signed Andre Roberson, Andre Roberson, who they literally released or waived like a couple weeks later. DeMarcus Cousins is a free agent. I'm gonna be honest, and this is gonna kind of tie into some of the other things that I did want to talk about in this video. Blake Griffin is shooting abysmal this year. He's shooting like something like 36% from the field. It's like I think he's shooting like 36% from three also, or like I know it's nowhere near 40%. Let's put it that way. He's averaging a career low of like 12 points a game, if I'm correct. Blake Griffin, if he can somehow be even just a fraction of his former self for the Nets, it will be absolutely huge, and the Nets are going to have to sign him to a vet minimum. They don't have the cap space to sign Blake Griffin to really a long-term deal. I think they're going to give him a 1-year prove-it deal, and that's all they really can offer him. I mean, they got James Harden making $40 million a year, they got KD making $40 million a year, and they got Kyrie Irving making $30 million a year. So their cap space is non-existent. Plus they got Joe Harris, whose entire contract is like $75 million, but Joe Harris is like the least of my worries for that team. But DeMarcus Cousins is also a free agent, and he's a guy that the Nets could pick up for a vet minimum. So if the Nets manage to play their cards right, and they can pick up a Blake Griffin and a DeMarcus Cousins to add to their bench, regardless of what you think about DeMarcus Cousins. Okay, DeMarcus Cousins has proven that when he's given about, 30 minutes a game, if you can get him 30 minutes, he's going to provide you with some decent numbers. DeMarcus Cousins is one of those guys that I'm sure a team will pick up eventually. He's not shooting very well, but his minutes have been all over the place this year with the Houston Rockets. When he was on the Rockets, I remember the game after Christian Wood got injured. They gave DeMarcus Cousins I think it was like 30 minutes, 32 minutes, and he had like a vintage boogie night. Like he had a vintage boogie night where he had like 28 points, 17 boards. He made like 4 or 5 3-pointers. He shot a decent percentage from the field, shot a decent percentage from the line. He got like a block or two. Like he was doing it on all fronts. And this was after it came out that like he was getting disgruntled with being the backup center to Christian Wood, because DeMarcus Cousins, I think if you make DeMarcus Cousins a starter, I think DeMarcus Cousins realizes that if he's given the time, he can be a guy that like can really contribute to a team. And I'm going to be honest, I think Houston pulled the plug on him way too early. I think they were incredibly inconsistent with the way that they played him. When he did play like 30 minutes a game, 30 plus minutes, he actually was pretty good. So there were nights that DeMarcus Cousins would only play 12 minutes, and then the next night he'd play like 20 minutes, then he'd play like 2 minutes, then he'd play like 30 minutes. Like they were very inconsistent with his minutes, and I think if the Nets can find a way to pick up Blake Griffin and DeMarcus Cousins, do I think they become championship contenders? They're already in the conversation, but I still don't think they're a lock to win it at that point. But if you can get DeMarcus Cousins and Blake Griffin, put them on the same team, get them on your bench unit. You got DeMarcus Cousins, who is disgruntled with being a backup, so that's kind of a touchy situation, but I'm not really high on Blake Griffin. I'm really not. Ever since his last injury, he hasn't been the same. We're talking about a guy who last year shot 24% from three in a league where pretty much all big men can shoot threes at this point, or at least a vast majority of them can, and do it at a decent rate. Blake Griffin's not one of those guys. He seems to be kind of like trapped in the old NBA, or like in his years of being, Lob City Blake Griffin. And to be fair, if Blake Griffin can be that, right, just Lob City Blake Griffin, if he's still capable of doing that, which I don't think he is, but if he is, then he's a good signing. I think anytime in general, if you can pick up Blake Griffin on a veteran minimum, even just to teach the young guys some stuff, that's a nice addition as well. But yeah, Blake Griffin is expected to sign with the Nets. I'm going to be honest, I do not expect him to contribute much. I don't even really know how much playing time I expect him to get. But Blake Griffin, I kind of hope the best for the guy, because it's kind of sad to see him, it's been kind of sad just to see his career basically die in Detroit. And, 2 or 3 years ago, he was averaging 20 a game, 24 a night, and he actually looked like a decent forward who was starting to develop like an outside jump shot and stuff. So if he can provide that for the Nets, that's huge. Who knows? He could sign with the Nets and have one of these freak turnarounds where he becomes like this really good player, considering he's not being asked to be a number one option anymore. But it's rocky, man. I really, if I'm speaking from like what my heart tells me, I don't think Blake Griffin is going to be a major contributor. I just don't. I think they're going to give him maybe 15 minutes a game, and we'll see what happens. But I don't want to be too down on it, because I know a lot of New Yorkers and people from Brooklyn and so on and so forth are excited about this. For whatever reason, they're excited that Blake Griffin is going there, because everybody's like, oh, it's Blake Griffin. You know what I'm saying? Lob City. But I just don't think he's that anymore. I just don't. And with as bad as he's shooting this year, I'm gonna be honest. If he can contribute and be meaningful, I will actually be kind of surprised. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Steve Nash is the coach over there in Brooklyn right now, so maybe they could try to make Blake Griffin fill a bit of an Amare Stoudemire type role. Because they've got a lot of people don't realize this, I don't think, but Steve Nash, if I'm correct, has Amare Stoudemire and Mike D'Antoni on his coaching staff, and if anybody can help Blake Griffin out, it's got to be Amare Stoudemire. I mean, I don't think Blake Griffin is Amare Stoudemire, so to say. Like, I don't know. I just don't think they really compare, but I think Amare Stoudemire could really help Blake Griffin out, and we all know what Amare Stoudemire used to be, and if he can get a little bit of that out of Blake Griffin, it's a win. You know what I'm saying? They just need, really what Brooklyn needs is size. They need some size, and Blake Griffin provides size. Even if he can just stand under the basket, play defense, whatever, be a team player, score, I don't know, maybe 8 points a game, something like that off the bench. If he can score 10 points a game off the bench, then he was a good signing. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I know this is the rumor right now. I just personally, I think Blake Griffin's best days are behind him. At this point, I think he's a bench player. I really don't even think he's a starter. But who knows? He could prove me wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. But based on what I've seen the past 2 seasons, man, granted, injuries being considered still, I still just don't think he's what he used to be. So tell me what you guys think down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. This has been the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of here. Peace, guys.